Hello, and welcome back to the Spoiler Cast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them. My name is Tobias, and with me as always is my sister and trusty co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello, and I'm not sure why I'm doing this AI voice. Usually I have a little theme for the opening, but we're not going to talk about AI.
No.
Very far from it, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Very far from it.
We're actually going to talk about one of my favorite franchises of all time. Oh my god, did I say favorite franchise? Ew.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll change your tune when I tell you. It's about Planet of the Apes.
Yay!
Yeah. I've been not a lifelong fan, but I saw the original Planet of the Apes when I was like, I don't know, 10 maybe? I didn't know what it was then.
You were a kid.
I was a kid, yeah. It was only later, like, oh, that Planet of the Apes movie, and I kept seeing like parts of it over at my friend's house because their little brother loved Planet of the Apes for a while. Yes, it was like the entire, that was before the new movies came out, so the old ones were just like on a loop, yeah. So, and I know like, oh, it's monkeys in suits, because I saw a bunch of clips from the third one and stuff. It's like, oh, this is silly. And then I was like, oh, they're doing a new one? I should watch the original again. And it's like, oh my god. Yeah. So I guess lifelong fan is wrong. I've been a fan since I was like 20, but still.
Sure.
But we're not talking about the entire Planet of the Apes this episode.
That would be too much.
That would be too much. I have done that though. There's an old episode of my old show, my old live show called Please Don't Livestream, which is still up, where I talk to a YouTuber who no longer does YouTube. Shit, I forget his name. Whatever. Where we talk about, it was for the 50th anniversary of the original, we talk about the entire franchise, because it was just a year after War for the Planet of the Apes. Enough talking about that. Wait. We're here to talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The new one that hasn't come out yet.
Yes.
Yeah, because,
slightly
they're doing another one. So we're going to talk about that, but of course we're mostly going to talk about the new trilogy, the prequel trilogy. That makes my skin crawl when I say that. Not because of this, but the other prequel trilogy,
Yeah. We're starting off on a bit of a strange note here.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, no, I mean, we're doing something we don't normally do on the free episodes. We do occasionally do it on the Patreon episodes.
Right. So, and by the way, hey, great segue, Rebecca. We have a Patreon. If you want to support us over there, check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Not only are you supporting us and being a fucking awesome person, you're also getting an extra episode every week. So, more fun for you, more fun for us. Yeah, we're doing a trailer reaction. Oh my god. On a podcast? Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but
it's a bit weird, but we'll do a countdown for you so you can watch the trailer and listen to our commentary while you do it.
For the next 1 minute 40 seconds or something. So
yeah. Or if it's just super boring, I'll cut it out and we'll continue
upload
on
it
from
Patreon.
Well, yeah, we'll put the unedited version, the boring version on Patreon, and we'll get to the actual discussion here. Because I've seen the trailer. It's been out for a while. We were supposed to do this episode 2 weeks ago, but my internet was crapping out on me. I've talked about that.
It came out 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, was why it was perfect timing, and then my internet just screwed me. Yeah. So yeah, we skipped. And did another episode we had planned, and now we're getting around to it.
Yes.
And now I've been talking for 4 minutes, so let's actually get to the trailer.
Sure.
So, this is the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes trailer, and I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1, click.
Yes.
And then you can follow along. And you can follow along, Rebecca.
I need to follow along as well.
Exactly. All right, so everybody ready?
Yay.
3, 2, 1, click.
Click.
That makes me think of some Avatar, the opening of Avatar.
Yeah.
He talks about dreaming of a planet. You see this.
And, I mean,
Yeah, it looks
tall
like
green things, something
Pandora.
flying. Looks just like Pandora. Though I'm assuming that's buildings that are just overgrown.
Yeah.
I am very curious. Is this Cornelius, maybe? I need to lower the volume.
Ooh.
There's so much more. Oh yeah, it's a city.
Yeah. So this is quite a jump forward in time. I mean, animals are like this, like in the original. But apes are not quite living in the cities of the original yet. They have electricity, though.
Yeah. And they treat humans as animals. But they're still discovering ancient technology.
Yeah.
Which isn't ancient, but well, kinda, I guess.
Ooh, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Memorial Day.
I mean, it's intriguing.
It is.
But also not.
Yeah, because... Have you watched the original movie? The 1968
yes,
movie?
But it's been a long time.
Okay. Have you watched
I think I've seen all of them, actually.
Oh, okay.
But, once.
I haven't seen them in a long time. Probably not since 2018.
Because I think you made me watch most of them for some reason. That's the thing. This is gonna sound a little bit random, but I have this feeling that we've talked about these movies, perhaps not as officially as on an episode, but we've had a full-length discussion about all of them.
We might have talked about it when talking about trilogies or good blockbuster or mainstream movies,
But I feel like we've talked about all of the Planet of the Apes movies.
I don't know. I can't remember.
But that is probably, first of all, it's before we started doing this regularly, so it's years ago by now. Yeah. And also, it might have been offline.
It could have been, yeah.
Could have just been one of those random binge watches where we watched all movies in a weekend or something.
I don't think we've done that. Well, I mean, we could try you. Maybe just think you've seen them. Because there's, of course, the original Planet of the Apes. Then there's Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the second one. Remember what happens in that one?
Well, no, I'm not going to remember it. Because I probably haven't seen all of them in at least 6 or 7 years now.
But they're very distinct. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't. Because it ends...
I mean, if you ask me about a movie I saw 2 months ago, I'm probably not going to remember stuff, so...
Alright, I don't know, okay. We're not going to talk about that anyway right now. We'll do that in the future, though, because, like I said, I love Planet of Apes. I love all the Planet of Apes movies, except for one. The 2001 remake, you can skip.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
The Tim Burton one, yeah, it's kind of sucks, man. But, because it's first of all, it's a great sci-fi concept.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
It's the reverse, apes evolved while humans, stayed animal.
Yeah.
So it's the reverse of us, but it's really about us, which is, all good sci-fi. It's really holding up a mirror to reality.
Yes.
There are more and less clever ways of doing that.
Yes.
Planet of the Apes is one that's very good. Old Star Trek is one that's very good at it, for the most part. There are bad ones, like New Star Trek.
Yeah.
But Planet of the Apes does it so well. Just because, it's... I mean,
it's very basic, to be honest.
It's very basic. Yeah, it's basically about slavery.
Yeah.
Because you keep it's almost like a horror movie. They keep treating Taylor like a fucking animal. You're like, oh my god, why are they treating him like an animal? He can speak, because he can't speak in the beginning because of his wound. And you're like, oh shit, this is so sick. And then you start thinking like, wait a minute, I've seen this in real life.
Yeah.
Oh right, slavery. Just like basic racism, like treating people like
lesser,
yeah. It's like Jesus. Or if you even want to, like, you can even add. That's great. You can even add other like connotations to it. Call it fucking because in the beginning of the movie, they're hunting the humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, call it like in industrial farming, because they keep them in cages, keep them around, or like our animal cruelty, because they do like live lobotomies on them.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about gelding Taylor. I'm like, oh, because I never thought of that before. I don't think I knew what gelding meant. I was like, oh my god, when I because I rewatched it. I rewatched part of it this morning. I didn't have time to watch all of it.
I only focus on watching the new trilogy, to be honest.
Sure, yes. And what's so good that, except for Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is just kind of a cash cow sequel, even though it has a good like third act, the first two acts are just a remake of the first movie, basically. The third, fourth, and fifth movie, you think like, oh, they're just milking a popular
franchise,
but no, well, yes, they are,
yes,
but they do tell compelling stories. Like, it's not lazy. And what makes it even better is how it all ties together. Like, Planet of the Apes, to battle for the Planet of the Apes, is not a circle, but it's like a finish to the story.
Yeah.
Which you didn't really have in the first movie. How it ends with, you maniacs, you did it. And you realize they're all on Earth, It's like, it can end here, can it? And then it doesn't. And it goes on. At one point, you're like, how are they going to go from here? But they fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
And they kind of show how, how Matthew McConaughey says in True Detective, like how time is a flat circle. Like, everything just repeats.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story of we find out, of course, during the franchise that the first intelligent ape was way back thousands of years ago, when humans realized they could use apes as like workforce, because they're not smart enough to like rebel,
but then there was one,
there was one who said no, and that's when the apes started rebelling, and then it slowly turned to where the apes were the dominant species, and it's kind of funny because in a roundabout way, that comes to happen in the fourth movie, because some of the apes from the future goes back to the past, and they kind of create this future. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, or a self-fulfilling curse, really. Because the humans were warned about this. They knew that the humans in the future start using apes as manpower, until one ape rebelled. But then they still do it in the fourth movie.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is what Cornelius talked about. Why are you doing it? And then in the fifth one, we're back at where Planet of the Apes takes place, where most of the humans, are struggling. They're not completely animalistic yet, but they're going there.
Yeah.
But in that one, they find a way to live in harmony. So it's like, and that was kind of what they were trying in the first movie. Like, some of the apes believed that humans could actually be like domesticated, and they're kind of the same, So it's very cool how they managed to wrap that up, and how every movie feels very poignant. It has something to say about slavery, about rebellion, about like identity, or prophecy, all of that, and they're all kind of exciting movies as well.
Yeah.
So when they were like going to do a prequel trilogy, or first just one movie, I think this was before they planned everything out, as they do nowadays. I was like, okay, how are they going to do that? Do we really need that? We've done prequel movies before; they're not good.
Most of the time, no.
Yeah. So, and by the way, this is where we're actually going to start talking about the movies we're supposed to talk about. Sorry. I just get excited about Planet of the Apes, and I've been babbling. You're going to have to stop me, Rebecca.
Yeah, no.
Interject.
It's since I haven't seen the other movies, the original movies, in such a long time, the points you're making and the details you're mentioning just made me go, oh, but that makes sense for the new trilogy. Oh.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And that's what's so wonderful. Just to kind of like, I guess, get to the point we're going to get to, like, instead of burying the lead, I'll just say that the new trilogy, not only does it work together with the other movies, it actually wraps it up and almost creates that circle that you want to create. Once again, time being a flat circle, they kind of continue that theme. But it also has the similar themes, of cruelty, slavery, revolution, and all that. It's repeated. But if you've not watched the other movies, it works on its own as well.
Yes.
Like, there's obvious references.
Sure.
Honestly, there's downright silly references. Even in the third super bleak movie, it's like, why are you doing that? It's kind of silly, but it doesn't get in the way. And, like, if you don't know the older movies, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. You don't think about it.
They work... the first movie works in a vacuum. The second and third, obviously, they don't really work in a vacuum, but they work together with the first movie. The three of them work together as a soul trinity or soul trilogy.
It works as a trilogy, yeah.
Yes. But they also
call it a perfect trilogy,
Almost.
Yeah.
But they also work very well with the originals, because they tie in vaguely enough, but also clearly enough.
Yeah, that's what I found so interesting, that they managed to actually... It doesn't feel like, it's just tacked on. It almost feels like, this was planned.
Yeah.
They actually took the time to write it properly, and like, how can we actually make this fit in with the other movies, and not just, like, be a soft reboot. I mean, it is technically a soft reboot.
It is.
But they allude to the stuff that happens in the first movie, because you have the missing spaceship, that they read about in the news in the first movie.
Yeah.
And you even see, like, our first mission to Mars, which is not technically what they're doing in the original movie, but it is enough of a connection that you can, like, okay,
Yeah.
Because in the original movie, they're going to our nearest star or something.
Yeah.
It's more sci-fi.
But again, it's also like, it's just a throwaway that if you don't know the originals, it doesn't matter. Like,
exactly. Then it just works as its own trilogy.
They also kind of... The way I remember the first movie, at least, and the way you just described it all, they also kind of work as in having the same storyline, but not reversed, but like opposite. That instead of humans being in cages in the first movie, we have apes in cages in the first movie. Yeah.
Yes, of course. They want to do it from another point of view.
It's like a mirror image almost.
Yeah, and like we said, sci-fi is supposed to hold up a mirror to reality. This is holding up a mirror to the other mirror.
So many mirrors. We're in a madhouse here.
Hey, it's a madhouse. It's a madhouse, which is one of those references to the original.
Exactly.
Because Taylor screams it in the original, and here, I guess Draco Malfoy shouts it.
Yeah.
I don't know his name in this. Is something.
Does he have a name?
He has a name.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Tom Felton, whatever. Draco Malfoy.
Dodge Landon.
Dodge Landon, right.
Terrible name.
He's Brian Cox's son in the movie. Yeah. Yeah.
But yes.
Because,
the first,
Yeah?
The first of them, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, came out in 2011.
Yes.
We saw it in theaters, right?
I did. I don't remember if you were, but I did. I guess you were with me.
Do you remember what you thought of it?
Yes, I do. I freaking loved it. Because I remember this was back before I did YouTube. I mean, I had done YouTube, but I kind of gave it up for a few years. So, and I had started a blog instead in 2009. Like, original, actually writing a blog.
Yeah.
Which was called Here's My Thought on It.blogspot.com. I don't know if it exists anymore. Where I wrote, like, movie reviews, video game reviews. And I actually had... Hey, time is a flat circle. I had my own awards show for, like, my favorite movies. Instead of just doing a top 10, I made, like, best movie, best director, stuff like that. And I only did it for 1 year, and that was in 2011. I guess 2012, but, and I don't remember all the movies, but I remember, what's that alien movie with Seth Rogen as the alien?
What?
And, Shaun of the Dead.
Paul?
Paul, yes, thank you. Paul
that
was
alien movie. Sorry?
Paul was on there. A movie called The Future, which is a cool, like, indie dramedy.
What was it called?
Future, or The Future. I'm not sure.
You cut out.
Oh, and then, I don't remember the other ones, but one of them were Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So it was in the running for my favorite movie that year. I have changed my opinion slightly. I still think it's a great movie, but I definitely think it's the weakest of these three. And it's not as hard hitting as the second and third movie. Still love it though. It's a great first chapter.
They're very different.
Yes.
Especially like the first movie is very small in comparison.
Yeah.
It's very contained. We have way fewer characters, way fewer apes in general. Even though there are a lot by the end of the movie, there's still way more in the second and third movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was. Part of me thinks, and this is just a cynic in me, thinks they wanted to do it to keep the owner rights to the IP, because you have to keep making something, keep using an IP. If you don't, eventually, it will lapse, and someone else can just buy it or take it from you.
Yeah.
That's why you keep seeing they are remaking it again. That's because if they don't, someone else can just take it from them.
Take the name and start doing their own
say
things.
Here's 10 million, give it to us, and they can't say no. You have to say no, we're using it, basically.
Exactly, and you have to use it. You have to prove that you're using it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's why, but I kind of get that feeling.
Sure.
Because
but hey, you got a good thing out of it, so
yeah, absolutely. Where's it going with it? Yeah. I forget where I'm going with that though. Because they also by 2011 dollars, it's still a lot, and it is a lot, but I mean, that movie only cost $93 million to make, which, it's not, it's nothing to scoff at, definitely.
No.
But it's not, even by that time, it wasn't like the biggest budget ever. It was kind of a gamble, which, hey, great, that's how you're supposed to make movies. Will people accept a monkey movie in 2011? Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. And they did. It was a pretty good success. So then they almost doubled the the budget for the second one, which definitely shows.
Yes.
The scope is bigger. The CGI isn't really. I mean, it is better, but I mean, it's not like it was bad.
That's one of the things that I really appreciated with Rise. It had amazing CGI for the apes.
Oh yeah, it holds up today, 10 years later.
Yes,
fucking 12 years later. Sure, you can spot it sometimes, but for the most part, you're completely immersed, so you don't even think about it. Yeah, it's so good.
Caesar is real.
Caesar is real. Yes.
There's no arguing there.
We'll talk more about that later and how Andy Serkis, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a little bit of a gamble and paid off, so they went big with the next one. Weirdly though, I guess because they didn't make as money as they thought they would, they went
as much money.
As much money, yeah.
You forgot a word.
They only gave the third movie $150 million. But that one made much less, though. Like $300 million.
Which
$200 million less.
I sort of understand, and I can you can almost tell at certain points.
Yeah. But I'm running ahead.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Keep talking about Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So it's really the story of, the first intelligent ape, Caesar.
Yes.
Born from an experiment, basically, or sort of. He was born into an experiment.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he did receive the experimental drug via his mother, so
yes, exactly. That's why he's special. He's born with it. It's not just like him. He's not being given a serum. And how he struggles to find his place, because he's not human, but he's also not really ape. He's not completely ape. So, at first, he kind of feels like he is human. He gets to live with Will and Will's dad, whatever his name is, and the girl. I don't know people's names. But then, there are moments when you realize, no, I'm still just I'm a pet basically.
Yeah, that's the scene in the Redwoods where he's wearing a collar and he sees a dog. He's like, am I a pet? And like, no, you're not
what
a
am
pet.
I really? And then, there's the incident with the neighbor and he gets put into the sanctuary or whatever.
Yes.
Where he's then treated like an animal, almost worse, because they don't really care about the animals there. But then the other apes don't accept him as well because, he's not acting as an ape. Well, he's like somewhere in between. So he's caught in between. He doesn't know what to do. And
he's always smart enough to understand also that this is what's happening. He's not just going, I don't get it. No, he understands that he's being treated differently by both species. And
there's another theme, like feeling like an outsider, not fitting into the world at all, and what you can do with it. But then, of course, we have, and this is like the first thing that ties it together well once. You have the scene where Tom Felton is about to zap him. He says, get back into your cage, and he grabs him and says, no! He speaks the first word.
Yes.
Which is what the prophecy was in the old movies. A monkey actually spoke, and the first word he said was no.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I remember that moment, watching it for the first time in the cinema.
Oh yeah,
and
chills.
Literally having a heart attack. It was so cool. And rewatching it now is not, it's still great. But I remember the first time it happened, it was like the world stopped. I'm not kidding. Because it was so well built up in that scene. And you didn't know it was coming. You just thought it was going to go, I'm a ape man, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, there's that short moment where all the other apes are like, what? And Tom
Everything
Felton's
just
like,
goes quiet in the movie.
Yeah, and it goes quiet. And that moment felt like it went on for minutes the first time you watched it. It was like, oh my god, this
It felt like they almost paused it.
Yeah.
They paused the movie just so you could like just what's the word? Encase it? No, that's not the word. Feel it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And watching it now, there's like a second of silence.
Yeah, sure. I still get chills though.
Oh, of course. And that speaks to the power of the filmmaking there. How when you see it for the first time, it's like this silly to say maybe like life-changing moment. Like, oh my god, I got a muscle spasm in my thumb.
Timing.
Yeah. And it's but it's also like it's so powerful in the movie because he realizes like wait, I don't have to be I don't have to be Will's pet, and I have to be these guys' prisoners. Like I'm done with this, and I'm going to do something about it. Just keep screaming no, like, and there's such power in that one word, like no.
Yeah.
Someone who's been pushed around their whole life, and like I could just say no, and they'll have to stop.
Hey, that's basically another lesson.
Yeah.
Learn the meaning of the word no and actually like feel the power of it, because no means no. No in means any language.
Yes.
In any situation. And you are so powerful if you are strong enough to say the word no.
Yeah. And that's where the revolution starts.
Yes.
Technically, it started a little bit before that. He was inoculating the other apes before that. Sure. But still, he wasn't. I don't think he was really sure what he was going to do with it until
he was just trying to make them like him, I guess, or at least accept
organize
him,
them. But then, fuck this. This is a revolution.
If they don't like me, at least I can control them to liking me. Which is terrible in a way, because he's not much better than the
but
humans.
He wants to.
But he does it
make
with
them
positive
feel like
reinforcement.
He feels.
Yes, and he does it with positive reinforcement. He doesn't do it with water blasting and treating them like shit.
Exactly.
He gives them cookies and shit instead.
Yeah, once again, the inverse of how the humans have been treating him.
Yeah.
So instead of
and them, obviously.
breaking them down, he's building them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's showing them that they are also people and powerful, and they
matter.
also do things.
Yeah. And then the best part is it doesn't then go into that's what I'm kind of worried about with the new movie, because even though some of the same people are involved in writing it and stuff, nowadays, because in that movie you think it's a revolution, they're gonna fight back towards the humans. That's not really what they want to do, though. They just want to get out of there. You mean in
Rise now, right?
In Rise, yes.
Yes.
They just want to get out of there. They want to get to, They want
freedom. That's all they want.
A place for their own. They're not out to like kill the people who've wronged them. Well, one is, but you know, we'll get to that as well.
Part.
Yeah. So it's not really a fight to like, kill fucking humans, you know. It's really just fight for freedom.
Yeah.
And that is something that's kind of missing nowadays. Nowadays, whenever it's like, ooh, it's a revolution or something, it's so hateful.
Yes.
Like I don't want to like draw too many like likenesses to like the, you know, back in the pandemic times. Jesus. That's a weird thing to say. When you had like clashes between like Antifa and cops or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
You know, Boogaloo Boys or whatever. It was like, they said they were fighting for, you know, we're fighting for freedom and equalities, but it really just felt like they were there to bash some, you know, right-wing people's heads in.
The issue was you had that's the thing though. The original thought, sure, that was just like we want our own freedom, we want whatever.
Sure.
But then a lot of people took advantage of that, going, hey, this is an opportunity for me to just go and smash a cop car.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like that has translated then over into media.
Yes.
Like fighting for like equality and freedom really just means to put the other side down. It's like, now you're just making the same mistake they did. Like that shouldn't be the point.
I think we've mentioned it before, but that's like the main issue with certain feminists as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we talked about how the pendulum is just going to swing the other way.
Yeah.
So in another 200 years, you know, it's going to go there. We're like, we're fed up with being treated this way. And then the you know, fascists and right-wingers are going to go like, we've been oppressed for hundreds of years. And they're it's just going to
rise up and
yeah. And you know, how time is a flat circle. But this movie doesn't do that. They don't like humans. They don't, I mean, they will go through humans if they have to, but they just want freedom.
It's the sign of a good leader in this case, because we do have one character who is very opposite, but he doesn't take any space really until the second movie.
Exactly. He's introduced in the first movie as, you know, he's basically like a lab.
Well,
he's been in labs all his life. Coma. Yeah. He's been basically tortured. He's been in
he's very
more or less
resentful.
humane labs, you know.
Sure. But he's obviously very resentful.
Yes.
But he is like, okay, so Caesar is showing me that I can get out of here. Sure, I'll follow you.
Yeah.
However, when he's a little bit like...
But he still has his own agenda. Yeah.
He still has a thorn he needs to like get rid of.
Which is understandable, you know.
Yeah.
He's been hurt a lot more than the other apes.
Well, yes, Caesar was never even tested on. He was just born and brought home.
Yeah.
He technically was never put in a cage until the incident with the neighbor.
Yeah. Which is also another very interesting viewpoint in the second movie. But we're going to wrap the discussion about the first movie up. So you have the big showdown on the bridge.
Yes. So cool.
Where you have the first ape on a horse. Once again, big fan service moment. Like, yay, monkey riding a horse. I said monkey, I know, this is a joke.
Yeah.
But then, they get to the redwoods, and Will runs after him and is like, Caesar, like, we gotta stop this, you gotta come home. And then he says, Caesar is home. And I was like, he spoke a sentence. It's so... that still hits as hard every time I watch it. It's like, oh, fuck, when he says it. And you see it in...
Will's eyes?
Yeah, but what's the actor?
James Franco.
James Franco, right. He's like, what the fuck? You know, because he hadn't heard him speak before that. So
no.
That's that too. But also the fact, like, he understood him and he responded, like, properly. It wasn't just...
It's like, it's a mix of, like, being proud and then, like, I've created a monster and
yeah, a little bit, like, Jesus.
Shit, what is happening? It's like panic.
This is a silly reference, but it's a moment in... fuck it. No one's going to remember it anyway. It's like a 1 second moment in Zack Snyder's Justice League. But it's one of my favorite movie moments of this millennia. I'm not kidding. It's right when they have a reanimated Superman. And he just, he bursts out of that reanimation chamber in the ship. And he flies up over Metropolis. And people are just looking up in the sky like, what the hell? Because he's been gone for like 2 years or whatever. And Lois Lane is coming out of a coffee shop or she's walking down the street or something. And she sees him. And she instantly, of course, realizes, because there's only one man who can fly in that universe. Yeah. She instantly recognizes, oh my God, that's Clark. So, she's like, oh my God, Clark is back. Realizing, wait, Clark was dead. And then something's off here. And all of those emotions playing out like love, fear, wonder, happiness, insecurity, all playing out in like a matter of a second in her face. And Amy Adams just pulls it off perfectly. And it's similar, not close, but it's similar in there. It's like, whoa, and like, what the fuck?
It's the same thing they wanted to achieve, at least, but I'm not sure James Franco could do that, really.
He's not on Amy Adams' level. No, he's not.
He's a good actor, but not for those kinds of serious stuff, in my opinion.
No.
He's more of a funny guy.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, but
he does a good job in general in this movie. But.
Yeah, I think he's a fine actor. Like, him, personal side, I think he's a fine actor.
Yeah. I am very glad, though, that he was not in the sequel.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have made sense.
No, exactly. So yeah, the movie ends with them, like, they're on their own, basically.
They got free. They got out of the city.
Yeah. And then there's, of course, the hint of the virus spreading.
Yes.
Which is like, ooh, I remember that. I was like, oh, shit.
It was a very cool mid-credit scene to have.
Yeah, and it plays over the credits, yeah.
It continues, yeah.
Yeah, watching it now, though, I haven't watched it since before the pandemic. I was like, oh, that's very accurate.
The thing is, I think we said that, was it just before or in the beginning of the pandemic? Because I think we watched this for some reason. We mentioned, like, shit, this is how it works.
Yeah.
It is eerie, but they did it very well.
Very well,
that's exactly
that's how a real virus spreads. I mean,
that's the shit we saw on the news when the COVID virus hit. So.
Yeah. It wasn't like news, but I mean, you had never seen it displayed that well in a movie before.
And that, like, clearly, like, fully understanding, it's one cough, one person, that person happens to travel somewhere and...
Then you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's a great game, I guess it's a computer game, but I have it on my phone, or had it on my phone, called Pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Everyone's played it.
Yeah, great game. They actually had a Planet of the Apes, like, theme for a while. I think it's...
yeah, that's true.
Around when the third movie came out, I think. Anyway, so that's how the first movie ends. Moving on to the second movie, that starts 10 years later. Humanity...
Yeah, right.
Yes, it's 10 years. Or 10 winters, as they say.
Yeah.
8 since we saw a human. We have a brief, recap in the beginning of what happened during the pandemic, and that's when I saw that for the first time. I thought like a week ago now. It's like, oh, that's very accurate. Just this version is more deadly than what we had, like riots and martial law and everything.
Yeah, because it hit much faster and much stronger.
Yeah.
Though I'm kind of confused. I don't remember if they like explain exactly how that virus came to be?
The virus is part of...
is it part of the Alzheimer's?
The Alzheimer's
drug?
cure, yes.
Right. But that's why the dad kind of dies, right?
No, because they realized that the first version that works, called ALZ-112, that's what he gives his dad. And it works. But
but
after a few years...
It's not as long lasting as they wanted.
No, it don't. Yeah, after because it's about 8 years. Because Caesar's 8, somewhere on 8-9, when the movie picks up again after that montage.
Yeah.
The
effect has worn off.
Yeah, the dementia comes back, and it comes back stronger, and the drug doesn't work anymore. That's why his father. Goes back to being, demented. Sorry.
Yeah, but almost confused. Worse than he was before.
Yes, and it comes back fast. So they start working on ALZ-113.
Right. That's the one that,
Yeah, that,
the lab tech.
Franklin?
Franklin,
the tech guy,
right?
Yeah. He gets exposed to it, and I mean, forgive me if my chemistry is off. I haven't taken chemistry since, elementary school. But, to create a cure for something, you also have to create, like, a disease.
Oh yeah. You take a part of the disease.
Yeah,
you introduce it to the body so that the blood, whatever, white blood cells or whatever, can address it in small doses instead of in high dose, which the sickness is.
Yeah, so it's similar here. Like,
to it. Yeah.
There is a virus involved, and they don't know how strong it is. That's why they're inoculating apes to see what happens. Franklin, of course, gets exposed.
Overdosed.
Yeah, he gets exposed when Koba, flinches. He catches it. He goes over to talk to Will because he's getting really sick. Will doesn't answer. He sneezes at the neighbor. That's how it spreads. Yeah. And the neighbor is a pilot, it turns out. Damn it.
Like, they're researching a cure for Alzheimer's.
Yes.
But they added something that created this deadly virus. Flu similar to the flu, because they call it the simian flu eventually.
Yeah, just like avian flu, yeah.
Yeah.
Or what we call the swine flu, yeah.
Swine flu, yeah.
Hold on. Let me actually...
That's where I'm a little bit confused. Like, what the fuck did they add?
This might become a very long episode, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, it just says Franklin accidentally becomes exposed to ALC-113.
I mean, it's nitpicking technically because we don't really need to know that. It's just it just feels like a stupid thing to add when it could literally.
But they didn't add. What do you mean they add? I mean, you have to.
Something must have been added because it's not. If it's so different from the original version, there was no coughing of blood and no dying from that one.
In the original movie, no. Then they just, they over time became animal-like.
No. I mean, in Rice, in the original medicine in Rice.
No, what? Yeah.
The original Alzheimer's medicine in
Rice. 112, yeah.
Yeah, 112 wasn't deadly in that sense, but 113 is.
Yeah, because they added something else, to.
Yeah, and that's
fight
something
back.
else. I'm wondering what the something else is.
Well, hold on. I'm on Planet of the Apes wiki. I know. I saw some video where they're like, fandom isn't good, but whatever. I'm using fandom. ALZ 112. I'm just going to read all of it. Fuck it. During the first trial, the virus. Yeah. Okay. What? Oh, no, I'm reading about 13. Sorry. Let's see if they actually explain it. Oh, okay, here it is. Oh, they actually kind of explain it. ALC-112 was the code name of a viral cure, so it is a virus you expose the body to. Viral cure for Alzheimer's disease developed over the course of blah, 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 blah. A military-sanctioned variant of the drug was administered to Burke and Verdon. Who? The latter of whom was later shot attempting to escape.
Is that in the movie?
There might be some, tie-in comic or something. Ugh, whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, Bright Eyes displayed their side results and was blah, 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 blah. Okay. Although... they shoot the ape because he goes crazy over the baby. And then, going that. Will report his... but then, of course, he tries it on his dad and works. So Will reported his unauthorized experiments to Genesis head Stephen Jacobs, who was impressed enough by Will's testimony to authorize the creation of ALZ-113. During the first trial, the virus was accidentally released onto chimpanzee handler Robert Franklin after they tried it on... I thought Kobo was a chimp. He's a bonobo, it says.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I think that might be like a... Oh, they actually go into it here. Symptoms. The ALC-113 allows the brains of apes to replicate its own cells to repair itself, right? Which in turn grants them heightened intelligence and can be inherited by the offspring of infected apes. The only physically notable symptom is the adoption of a green tint in the affected ape's irises. Yeah, we know that. With humans,
that
however...
was the point of the 12. The 112 virus as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
With humans, however, the 113 is lethal as their immune system is weaker than an ape's immune system. Yeah, here I think once again are like some sort of comic book or book tie-in. Both Malachi Humans and Natalia Kozar noted similarities between the way simian flu affected humans and Ebola, as both are highly contagious and have hemorrhagic fever as a primary symptom, which is when you bleed. and have fevers. And infected humans
like
place
Franklin
constant
had.
nosebleeds before bleeding out of the eyes, ears, and mouth before death. As mentioned by Ellie, a survivor of the simian flu, Jesus, humans that were not killed by the virus were genetically immune to the flu, or else they would have died long ago. So there would be no danger
that's mentioned
of
in
the returning to kill
that's
them.
mentioned in Dawn.
Yes.
Which, that's how viruses work in general. Like, there are still people.
So it is a virus. Like, they introduce a virus to your immune system that attacks. It goes into your brain basically and starts repairing your brain. Gives you new ridges. You're not a smooth brain anymore.
Yeah.
Problem is, it is a virus. It also attacks, the rest of the body, but your immune system is supposed to keep it at bay. 113 was too strong for humans. That's it.
Yeah. And hey, we're not scientists, so we don't have to understand. I was just curious.
Yeah. So that's how.
Feels like a silly choice, but I guess that's how it works. How you do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it's like crazy science. Like using viruses to treat people are a thing. Is a thing.
Sure. No, I understand that part. Whatever. But then in Dawn, we have the evolution of people who are, the remaining people are basically immune.
Yeah, I think most people are wiped out in the 10 years.
Yeah, and like Ellie says, the doctor,
whoever that was,
played by Kerry Russell.
Oh, okay, right, that's her. Okay, sure.
Yeah, she mentions no, we can't get infected because we would already be dead if we weren't immune.
Yeah, exactly. So some people.
So we don't have to fear being too close to the apes,
right?
Because that's not gonna be the issue. Whatever the issue might, however, be that they might fight us.
Yeah. So but the second movie then starts with the apes living in the forests around San Francisco.
Yeah.
And how they have they've grown into like a proper society.
They've built their communities and they have homes.
Yeah, they've lived
families.
Yeah, they've lived in
traditions almost already.
10 years since the original revolution and 8 years since they've seen any humans because most people probably died, or they did die.
Yeah.
But then of course, they run into some humans.
Yes.
I just gotta say, I love the opening, it's like 10 minutes of the movie where there is no dialogue. There is some sign language.
Yes.
But because it's sign language, it's kept to a minimum. So the dialogue is so brief. It's mostly, looks, feelings, emotions. And it's such a wonderful thing to see. And also immediately shows, because it's a new director now, Matt Reeves, who directed the second and third one, shows his style.
Yes.
Where the first one, it's, doesn't really, it's not like it's ugly or something, but it doesn't really have. You don't immediately feel like,
it's a little bit,
get this, like style wise,
It's a little bit generic almost.
Yes, nothing wrong with that, but it's a little generic.
But it feels very, in terms of scale, in terms of style, in terms of actual story, it feels a little bit basic compared to Dawn and then War.
Yes.
It also is way shorter, right? Because it's an hour 40 or so.
Second one is just over 2 hours. The third one is long.
Yeah, and third one is...
Well, 220. That's like regular movies nowadays. But
yeah. So,
back then
the first
it was
one is
long.
Lengthwise. Good job.
Yeah. So the second one is really about, how you learn to live with your enemy, basically.
Yeah.
And showing, that there's resentment still, both from humans towards apes, of course, because some people think that the apes were the cause of the virus, but also from apes towards humans because of what they used to do to them.
Yeah, because the apes who are in cages are still alive and still around.
Yeah. But
still traumatized.
Yeah, there are people on both sides who more out of necessity than because they want to really. When want to work together, you have the people. I don't know. That's kind of a thing though. In these movies, even though they're not like terrible, but the humans are kind of like thinly written, because I can't remember
Yes.
a single name from the second movie. There's
there's
Hat Guy
Malcolm.
and his son, and then there's Dawson's Creek Girl. No, Felicity Girl.
Yeah.
And then there's Gary
Oldman.
Gary Oldman, right. There's Gary Oldman. I was going to say military guy, but yeah, that's Gary Oldman. And then there's angry racist / apist guy.
Yeah.
And then there are other guys. I have no idea
the other
what their
ones are
names
just... The rest of them are just brutes. You have... The main characters are Malcolm.
Right,
Or
Malcolm.
Hat Guy, as you call him.
Hat Guy, yeah.
Ellie, who's the doctor.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, obviously, or Dreyfus, as his character is. And then you have the racist dude is Carver.
Played by...
I guess the
what's
kid...
Is his name like Fred Tatasciore or something?
No, Kirk Acevedo.
Oh, right, Kirk Acevedo, sorry. I thought of someone else.
Yeah, you did.
Men,
whatever.
men?
And then the kid isn't really important, but it's Alexander.
Yeah, I know that's Cody Smith McPhee, right?
Yes.
Yes, I knew that.
He has no real point except for being the well, he is the link between apes and humans at one point. He's the reason the apes go, okay. But that's about it. Other than that, it's just like a MacGuffin or something.
Yes, and that's what I mean. A lot of the humans feel like they don't really... I mean, they serve a little bit of a purpose. I mean, you have, of course, Malcolm. He's a mediator. He's,
Yes.
I don't hate apes, He doesn't particularly love them, but, he's willing to work with them, for his own benefit.
Yeah.
He's their side's a Caesar. And then you have Dr. Lady and the son. Like they serve no purpose.
No, they're just there to like fix things at points where we needed a reason to, something needed to happen.
Yeah,
otherwise
that's
it wouldn't
plot
make sense.
stuff. It's not. They don't serve any story purpose.
No.
They're there to fix a wound or read a book.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have Kirk
Play
Acevedo.
with the child to make it look good.
Yeah, they have Kirk Acevedo who represents the monkeys killed us guy.
Kind of Koba with the apes.
Yeah, the narrow-minded racist guy.
Yeah,
and then you
cannot really forget.
Yeah, and then you have Gary Oldman, who is more the military. Not hating them, but like they're animals. Why should I care? Let's just get rid of them.
Yeah,
kind of guy.
If we can just shoot them, it's easier.
Yeah, those are really the only characters you need. But they have a bunch of other characters to show up. Not a lot though. It's not like
the other characters are just cannon fodder or like
tag-alongs.
They don't even have names.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
and I mean the main characters in the movies are the apes. There's mainly Caesar, obviously.
Yes,
and
the human characters are always like second billing, so to speak.
Yes.
The movie's really about Caesar and Koba. I would say that's the big.
Yeah.
That's the big because they represent two sides of the ape community. It's the ones that just want to live their lives, and the people who are like we talked about. They're past like, I just want freedom. They want revenge.
Yeah.
Because, when Caesar starts reluctantly help the humans, and they're in the dam because they want to get a dam working so they can have water power to their city.
Again.
Electricity, yeah. And he said, and Koba's like, why stop helping the humans? He just says, calm down, just let them do their human work. And that's like, he speaks, he says, human work? Which is another one of my favorite moments in that movie. And he points to all the scars on his body, like, human work. Human work! And then the big one on his face, like, human work! Oh, it's so good.
Which, it's, I mean, he's not wrong.
No, but it's also...
Human work. I mean, if we give them electricity again, how long will it take before we get back to where we were?
Yeah.
To when they put apes in cages and do tests on them and cut them and hurt them again.
That's what he's worried about, which is understandable because he lived his whole life in fear of humans. But it's also just because when Caesar, I think it's such good writing. I mean, like the prose, if you want to call it. I don't know if you call that in screenwriting terms. Because when Caesar says, he means let them do their human work. Like, just let them do their work. Like what they're working on here in the dam.
Yeah.
But then the words human works also to point out what they worked on Koba's body.
Yeah.
Oh! I mean, it's not brilliant. Well, it kind of is.
It is
because
brilliant.
it's so simple, but it's also so concise. It cuts right to the core.
Yeah, because
human work. For Caesar, it's a good thing,
what he's
basically.
Pointing at.
Yeah, but for Koba, it's a bad thing. It just removes
and
all of the fat of the dialogue.
It also has that deeper meaning of what it means eventually.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Of what it will lead to. It's not just here and now. It's not just in the past. It's also the future.
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 different timelines here at the same time by just saying
human work.
The words human work.
Saying it in different ways,
Yes.
Yes, I love it.
Complexity in such simple words.
Yes. That's when you use language in the right way.
Yes.
It's so good. Like, fuck it. We haven't done it in a while. I'm gonna shit on Marvel a little bit.
No.
The scene where Caesar and Koba says, "Let them do their human work," and he says, "Human work, human work."
The one you just reenacted 5 times.
Yeah,
yes.
I know. That's like a 2-minute scene. That's the entirety of Captain America: Civil War. It took them 2.5 hours to get to the same point.
And they have to use so many more words.
And so much punching. And so many explosions. Like,
here we have 2 words and a few points. They just point at certain pieces of their own body.
Amazing!
Yes, that's one way of seeing it.
I'm sorry. I just thought it right now. I was like, oh, God. Because that movie, like, because they have, of course... Sorry, I'm talking about Civil War now. They sit down and talk about it in the beginning movie, like, I think this, well, I think this. Like, we can't just give up our, ability to fight evil. Yeah, but, when does it stop being us fighting for evil and just become, like, our own vanity? I'm like, that's a cool scene, that first scene.
Sure.
That's 5 minutes of the movie. What about the rest? Well, they're just punching each other. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't even know. Well, yeah, that we get to the whole them working on the dam and them fixing the dam, and then unfortunately, because of human work, Koba gets frustrated, leaves, and explores the city a little bit.
Realizes that the humans have lots of guns.
Yes, and they know what guns do.
Yeah,
they haven't forgotten that in 10 years. I mean, they even have they don't have any of their own in Dawn, right?
No. They don't even have it in War.
Yes, they do.
Oh, right, they do. Sorry.
First scene we see an ape in. There's a gun involved. Held by an ape. In War.
What?
Well, yeah.
No.
We'll get to that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
In Dawn, he the funniest scene in the entire movie when he
tricks
finds the 2 guys and he tastes, I guess it's whiskey or something.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And he acts like a monkey for a little while to fool them. Yeah.
He even like so casually swings the gun and shoots them.
Yeah.
Just to make it look like an accident kind of thing. So they don't get alarmed going, oh shit, he's attacking us. It's more, oh shit, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
He shouldn't hold the gun. Let's give me the gun instead of running and screaming.
Yeah.
So clever.
We have, just talking about dialogue, though, we did skip one amazing scene before that. And that is after they have discovered the humans, and they're still deciding on whether, what they're going to do about them. Koba, of course, wants, like, we need to attack them now. We need to, like, so they don't attack us. And she's like, no, I'm not going to start war. I'm not going to, like, get apes killed just because we're scared. So then they just go over to the human place, the human sanctuary, and you have the scene where they're all, gathered outside.
Oh, yeah. And Dreyfus has asked Malcolm, how many were there? Oh, I think like 50 or something.
Yeah, it's more than 50.
Like, way more.
And once again, just explaining like Caesar's entire character there in just a few words when he says, apes do not want war. What is it exactly? But will fight if need to or something.
apes do not want war, but will fight if we must.
Right. And that's his entire thing. Like, he'll leave. He wants to leave the humans alone. You can just be on your own. We do not want to beef with you. But
I think he even says at one point, leave the woods to us and you can have the city.
Not in that speech, but he might mention that later.
No, exactly. They mention it sometime in the movie. I don't remember where.
Yeah. But like I said, but if you're going to attack us, we will fight back.
We will defend ourselves, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. And it's such like it once again just cuts to the fucking core. So, and right there, they could have just been done. Like, yeah, we don't want to fight, so if you don't fight with us, we'll be fine. But then, there's always people on both sides that don't agree. And that's Cobalt, and racist guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that's the whole, the trigger of the war is when they've finished the work, the human work.
Yeah.
Or they're almost finished. No, it's when the collapse happens and they've pulled everyone out and they're patching them up.
Yeah.
And baby, no, what's the baby's name? The baby monkey. It's not Cornelius then. Is it Cornelius then?
I think so.
When he's tiny, maybe. Yeah. He accidentally pulls out a gun from Carver's toolbox.
Yeah. Turns out he brought a gun, which was the one thing they couldn't bring. No guns.
Yeah. That's where Koba goes. Fuck this.
Yeah, you see these humans are sneaky bastards.
Can't trust them.
He goes to the city, sees the guns, and realizes, oh, shit. And because he acts out of fear, he thinks, oh, they're going to use them to attack us. Which was never their plan, but,
Not until he attacks.
Exactly. So he once again, self-fulfilling.
Well, actually, he brings a gun and stages an attack.
Yeah, because he thinks Caesar's blind to the humans,
ability or capability, I suppose.
They're evil, whatever.
Viciousness.
Yeah, and think like they're gonna attack us. That's all he can see when he sees the guns and the humans. They're going to attack us because he acts out of fear. Why else would they need guns? Why else would they need guns? Why would you need guns? But I mean, there might be infighting with the humans. That doesn't matter. He only sees guns that have hurt us before. Caesar, we must act on this. But Caesar do not want a repeat of what happened in the end of the first movie. He wants apes to live, in harmony.
Yeah.
So he will avoid fighting as long as he can. Koba does not accept that. So Koba stages an attack by shooting Caesar and setting the ape sanctuary on fire. And then he says, human gun, something. I don't remember exactly what he says.
Yeah, something like that.
And, he had some sympathizers, but now he has more, and they go to war against the humans. They attack the human settlement.
Classic also, we have Caesar's oldest son, Blue Eyes.
Yeah, kind of joining up.
A bit of a skeptic.
Yeah, because fuck you, Dad, basically.
Kind of thing. Like, how you're so trusting.
Yeah.
But also, like, you're still my dad, I'm going to respect you. But then when Dad dies, shit.
Yeah, then
and Koba goes, we will avenge your father.
Yeah, he's susceptible to his devious ways. That's what I was thinking of for the humans. Their devious ways.
Devious, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, then we have that awesome first attack scene where they attack the human settlement, where you have the one shot where the camera is locked down on top of the tank. So you only see like the turret, but you see also one ape. I'm not sure if it's called, but it's some ape gets up on the turret, manages to pry open the hatch, kills all the soldiers inside. So the turret starts spinning while the tank still moves towards the settlement, or it reverses back towards the settlement. And you see it like randomly firing. And while the camera / turret is spinning, and then the ape comes out and is like, fires his gun, and it's all one take where the tank just drives, and that they did for real. Because sometimes, obviously, you can fake a one shot. We've talked about that.
Sure.
That they did for real. They just had not a tank, but a car with a mock turret on.
Yeah.
That they just
man, they got a tank, dude.
Yeah. It's gonna go down here. It's gonna spin, in this velocity, this far. So we're gonna have a series of explosions going off, And it was all just in one, one take, and it's so cool to see.
Yes.
Because not only is that like a cool thing to do, it is also a perfect way to show like the mayhem in 360 degrees
Yes.
what's going on in the battlefield.
Because we see humans get hurt, we see apes get hurt,
Yeah.
we see apes trying to save other apes and like pulling them to safety, but then also getting hit. And we see throughout all of this, we see Blue Eye's reaction to it.
Yes.
Because he is main focus for that part of the scene, at least.
Yeah.
Him going like, "Oh shit! This is what Dad meant, that he didn't want apes dying."
Exactly. So then, the apes kind of win that battle, and they put humans and dissenting apes into cages. Who's the bad guy now? Once again, it's repeating. It's sort of like poetry, sort of like the rhymes. Like George Lucas
yeah,
said.
kind of.
And then of course Caesar survived. How he survived? He fell like 200 feet or something, it feels like. But he survived.
I'm sorry,
He's an ape.
I just noticed on our TV, they showed the Christmas Coca-Cola commercial for the first time this year.
Oh no!
I'm so happy.
Well, I had...
Sorry, weird side note.
I had permanent snow today outside my apartment, so I guess it's coming. It is the middle of November. Anyway.
But yes, Dawn of the Apes.
Yes. So Caesar, together with Dr. Guy and son and Dr. Lady... Hat guy and Dr. Lady.
Yeah.
They decided we have to stop Koba basically. Otherwise it's going to be all out war. Because, narrow-minded people on both sides are ruining this. We have to stop it.
Yes.
And it, there's a bunch of stuff with the C4 and whatever.
Making them
doesn't
weigh
really
in
matter.
whatever.
What matters is Caesar rests up for a couple of days as the mayhem goes on in the city. Then he goes to face Koba. Because that's like the only thing you can do. Like, you can't...
I mean, they need to stop their own worst enemy in this case. So he needs to stop his bad guy, which is Koba, and Malcolm needs to calm down Dreyfus.
Yeah. But we don't know that Dreyfus is going to destroy the city until we get there.
No, but we know that he is obviously going to fight back.
Sure. Yes. But then Caesar goes up. I don't even think he wants to try to talk to him, because you can't talk to someone who's that idealistic. That's
especially
zealous.
Not in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to be a show of strength. He has to fight Koba, and he does.
Yeah.
And I remember I've called this movie that several times. I think I even wrote that on Letterboxd when I wrote about it recently. Like, not specifically that moment, but at that moment when they're standing there. They're up in the tower. The whole human settlement is in this unfinished skyscraper. So they're up in the top with all the cranes and scaffolding and everything. And the tower is or the city is burning below them. And you have Caesar and Koba, sort of talking to each other like, you fool.
Yeah.
It's just like that. That's when
it's like in Star Wars when I have the high ground now.
Yeah. We fight for democracy. Yeah. Oh, that's a great speech. That's when you realize this is like fucking Shakespearean, The way you have two former friends who are now deadly foes, and you have there's family drama, and there's revenge, and there's burning towers. It's so operatic. It's so amazing.
But it's all played out with apes.
Yes, with apes. So that once again the dialogue is kept to such a minimum. They only use the most important words, which makes it hit so much harder. I love it.
I kept thinking of that when I watched War today, actually. It's like, I wonder if these movies would have hit as hard and been as impactful and amazing if it had been just humans.
No,
probably not.
It wouldn't have.
Because
it would have been talking too
you're
much.
missing partially that. I mean, they could have made it so that humans have lost their speech a little bit and they speak simple terms, whatever. We've had those kinds of humans before.
Or just write clever dialogue, but they wouldn't have because they don't have that restraint.
It's seeing it from another point of view kind of thing.
That's
if you see it from humans, it's just humans.
Yes.
like we've seen this before with humans. It's not as special that way. Now we're seeing it from another species point of view, and it makes you think. It's like, shit, is this what we look like?
Yeah, and that's the whole point. That's the original
it's holding a mirror
point
to
of the
yourself.
original movie. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it here as well because I was doing the infinite amount of chimps will eventually write Shakespeare joke, or that's not a joke, it's a theory.
Yeah,
you know the one. If you have an infinite amount of chimps and give them typewriters, they will eventually write Shakespeare because they will write every word that's been written.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure where this joke is going, but what I am trying to say is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is Monkey Shakespeare. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, basically.
Because it's so cut down to its core. Yeah.
The only issue I have with Dawn is when we get in the beginning of the movie, when we get to see the settlement properly. For some strange reason, some of the, I'm assuming, female apes who are helping is Cornelia, the wife,
yes,
give birth, are wearing these headpieces, veiled things, which is a cultural thing that I don't understand how the apes have adapted in these past 10 years or so.
It's supposed to be a face mask.
Yeah.
Because they are, I know. That's a little bit like, what would they know about, bacteria coming through your mouth?
Yeah. Especially
when it comes to, like, healthcare.
But also, it looks more like one of those, like, decorative ones that belly dancers have, kind of thing.
And I think they...
Luckily, we only see it once.
Yeah, and I think they actually addressed that in the behind-the-scenes stuff on the Blu-ray. And they're like, yeah, it's, it's kind of silly, but we also want to, we had to have some way of showing that these are the nurse or doctor apes, And they couldn't, like, put a stethoscope on them, so we'll give them some sort of mouth guard. Maybe they understand that you breathe, when you cough, it's because you're sick, and, you don't want to cough on a little baby, something like that.
Sure. I mean, sick animals in the wild will distance themselves from the herd so that they don't contaminate the rest.
It's a bit of a convenience, but it's also to explain to the audience, like, these are the nurse apes to take care of the ape mommy when she's about to give birth.
You kind of understand that anyways, because some of them don't have that guard thing and they all flock around her, so you're like, yeah, they're caring for... Whatever. That's like my one issue with the entire movie.
Or you could just excuse that, like, apes have lived in labs. They've seen people use face masks when they do surgery.
Sure, and they happen to find that one
mimicry. They're aping humans. That's also how I think you would explain that. At least Caesar's wife is wearing jewelry. It's like, this is a lady ape because she's wearing jewelry.
That comes again in War, where Lake. The younger love interest of the son is also wearing jewelry of sorts.
Yeah.
It's also because you need to distinguish the characters a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Because that is my main issue with War for Planet of the Apes. Do you want to wrap up Dawn, or are you happy?
Well, we'll wrap up Dawn. I'm going to ask you, because we've been doing this for an hour 13... Do you have it in you to do the third movie right now, or do you want to do a second episode?
Let's do the third movie now, or we can do a second episode on the rest of the movie.
All right.
Or, however many episodes that would be.
Then, I just want to wrap it up by saying that, in the end, Caesar there's no other way, he has to kill Koba.
Yeah.
And it's the one moment...
Koba was literally happy to kill him to do what he wanted also, so it's not really...
But it's something he has, like, been adamant from the beginning. Like, he doesn't want to fight, doesn't want war, doesn't want to hurt people.
He also says...
Yeah, ape do not kill ape.
Kill ape.
Yeah. And Koba
Koba throws back at him.
Yes. And then he says, Koba not ape. And it's just like...
Yeah.
That's a convenient excuse. I understand what he means, that Koba is so hateful, so spiteful, so fearful. That's not what apes are about. I understand that, but it's also an excuse, I think. And I don't like it. I understand that's the point. It's not supposed to be the best choice, but it is a necessary evil. Once again, adding so much complexity to the character. He has to do something he shouldn't do, but it's really the only way, because Koba will never stop. Unless he's dead.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
don't they even mention some point like the way Koba reacts to certain things when he goes like, "Oh, we need to fight," and Caesar says something along the lines of like, "Apes don't fight, but humans do."
Yes.
You're thinking like a human,
Yes,
kind of.
yes.
So when he says Koba's not ape, he's saying like, "Well, you've become more than an ape. You're a human now."
Yeah, exactly.
You're portraying too many human emotions.
Yes, sure. So it is kind of double-edged then, because it is also just an excuse to kill Koba. I think that's intentional for us to go, yes, he did it, but also, Caesar, though,
this is him like
killed
trying
an ape
to.
Now.
He's trying to rectify it for himself, but he also knows that it's wrong.
Exactly.
And they're supposed to have the exact same thought.
And of course, but it's it's all for nothing because the humans, they don't see that. So they have contacted other humans. People are coming, as Malcolm says, like, you have to get out of here, like, or there'll be war. And Caesar says, like, war has already begun. Like, there's no point now. We have to fight, otherwise we'll be hunted for eternity. Like, it's not gonna. And he knows because humans they're like Koba. They're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna have to fight, which leads in to the third movie. To War of the Planet of the Apes.
War for the Planet of the Apes. Which has a very good, but also very bad opening scene, to be honest.
Yeah. And please explain. When does the monk or ape have a gun in that scene?
Yes. Well, we have the opening scene of the human army dudes crawling through the woods.
Yes. It's been, what they say,
another 5 years,
right?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. They stop because they see something.
Yeah.
And Preacher, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, the crossbow guy. Yeah.
Yes. He looks through the sight.
Yeah.
Zooms in on the apes, and his commander says, "Take out the one with the gun." And there is one of 3 apes who is brandishing a gun on a horse.
Okay. All right.
Brandishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But most of them
he
just
takes
have
him
spears
out.
and stuff, right?
Yeah, sure, but they do have a few guns. It's why he is supposed to target the gun first, obviously. Sure. And they also pick up more guns as they take out this little platoon.
Sure. And later in the movie, the revenge party have guns. So yeah.
Yes.
But
there is a gun in the first scene. I both love and hate though the text that runs on the opening.
Oh, you hate it? I think it's clever.
It's clever.
Because it uses the titles of the other movies.
It sort of feels like they're trying to if you haven't seen the first movies, you can still watch this one.
Well, you have to. Sorry for cutting you off.
I know.
I can see why, because this is when Marvel was kind of in its stride. But you have to remember there were, technically there were 2 years between Dawn and War. Like there wasn't.
Dawn came out in 14 and War in 17. Yeah.
So it wasn't like they had released 4 movies every year, so you were always kept up to speed. It had been 2 years since people saw Dawn, so you kind of have to remind them.
Yeah, it was a bit of a reminder. Yeah, I guess.
And I mean.
But
some people,
it felt kind of.
Some people, I promise you, some people saw War and hadn't seen Rise or Dawn because what is this? Some people are like that.
Yeah, I know.
So you have to have. It
just felt a little bit cheesy and a little bit like, come on,
sure.
Don't you trust us enough to know this?
But I remember, like in 2011,
I also like it because it's very cleverly written.
Yeah, like born from a virus, apes, something rice, and the rice just stays on the screen, and then 10 years later. There was a dawn of a new era and a dawn stage. Yeah. And now for 5 years, they waged a war for the Planet of the Apes.
War stays.
And then that stays.
Whoa. Yes.
Oh, it's so cool.
However, my least favorite thing of this entire movie comes straight after that, basically. Okay. When we get to see, from the human perspective, when they enter the compound, the ape compound.
Yeah. You're skipping ahead a little bit.
There's not a lot in between.
No, sure. That's the opening fight to show, like, there's been a war, there's skirmishes.
Yeah.
And then Caesar returns to his homestead.
Yeah, and they bring in the captives, which is one of the donkeys, as they call them. Yeah. And, like, 2 or 4 humans.
Apes who, they're, like, former Koba sympathizers who then now work for the humans, which is...
Because they're afraid to go back to Caesar.
Yeah. Which is...
And the humans are taking advantage of that, going, hey, slaves.
Yes, which at first you're like, well, that's kind of silly, until you remember, those kind of slaves,
Yeah.
or like black slave owners and stuff who were like extra hard on the slaves because it's so weird. Anyway,
that shit happened.
Yes,
so they're perfectly fine representing that in the movie.
Yes.
However, when they're going through that, we get the cameras like going through the human point of view.
Yeah.
The apes look terrible because they all look the same until we get to Caesar and Maurice and Luca. They look different.
Sure, yeah, because they're different species.
Sure, but there's a bunch of what's the species Caesar's called? What's that called?
Chimpanzee, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of chimpanzees that they're walking past, but they all look exactly the same, which I think is the issue of having too many apes.
Okay, well, that's good then, because they kind of cut down on the amount of apes for the majority of the movie after that.
Yes.
Or like, at least the first hour.
Like that beginning, that one scene where there's so many and you're just passing through them all, like they just copy pasted them. Maybe. I didn't notice. Come on, that looked cheap.
I didn't notice any flaws in the CG.
No, it's not a flaw. It's just that they all look exactly the same. Because throughout the rest of the movie, you can see distinguishing, like, there's scars, there's jewelry, there's, like, the patterns on their fur, there's, like, war paint, there's something. Yeah. But in that particular scene, there's, like, 10 chimpanzees who are standing next to each other and literally they're copy-pasted. And that was like a sore thumb.
Sure.
It hurt so bad because I've always admired these movies for having such amazing CGI, making the apes, all the species, look so real.
Yeah, I can't speak. I agree to that.
And then all of a sudden, that came out and just looked video games. Like, shit.
Yeah.
The fuck.
But
then, rest of the movie, amazing.
Okay, because I never noticed that.
Bad Ape, or Bad...
Yeah, Bad Ape.
Yeah, Bad Ape. I had forgotten about him, to be honest. But when I saw him, I was like, wait, did they actually use a real ape?
Yeah.
But no, it's Steve Zahn voicing him.
But before that, the movie starts with this war. And Caesar, he's fighting back, but he's also, he sent out his son and...
Rocket.
Rocket? Oh, right, Rocket, because Rocket's son dies in the second movie.
Yeah.
Rocket is one of, 3 apes that kind of are in all 3 movies. You have Rocket, Maurice, and Caesar.
Yes.
So they've been sent out to kind of find, a new place, way beyond, long way from humans.
Yeah.
To kind of because we're not going to win this war, we'll just get out of here, basically. We'll
go so far that they can never find us.
Yeah, basically. So they found a place to say, beyond the mountains, there's green fields and water or whatever. I was like, that's perfect. We'll start going in the morning, basically. But then, of course, that night, the humans have found the monkey compound, so they attack in the night.
This poor Winter got scared.
Yeah, one of the apes gets scared.
An albino ape.
Albino gorilla, yeah. And reveals their location to the humans. The bastard. But thing is, you don't, once again, small character, but you understand why. Because they've explained the whole thing with, the apes were scared. That's why they're fighting.
Yeah.
Just like but he's scared. That's why he's so angry at humans, because he's scared. That's ultimately what it is. What xenophobia or racism is. It's really fear. You fear something you don't understand. That's what it is. We've talked about that as well.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, fear of the unknown. Yeah. Nothing is scarier than that. So here's the same thing. They fear what will happen, So, what if the humans win? Are they going to kill us? I better just side with the humans.
Yeah, because obviously we're kind of thinking that way. We're talking about moving. We're talking about always relocating. Yeah. We can never be in one place because obviously the humans are winning. So why not just give in? Live with the humans. Maybe I can stay alive at least.
Yeah. And that's why I've always disliked the joke, I for one welcome our alien or robot overlords. No, don't. Yeah. That's giving in to fear, bro.
Yeah.
Don't. You'll be a slave. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, so the humans go in there because they've been looking for 5 years. They've been looking for Caesar because, you cut the head off the snake, the rest will die. And he's been almost like this ghost. I think Preacher says that when he sees him,
like Jesus.
We didn't even think you were real for a while. When they see him in the first battle. But then they go in there, and there's a skirmish. The humans get away, and we realize that Caesar's wife and son, Blue Eyes is his name, right? Yes. Yeah. They're killed in the battle. It's like, oh no.
Because they think that Blue Eyes is Caesar for some reason.
Well, it's his son. There'll be some, resemblance.
Because you hear them going over the radio like, the we got him, basically.
Yeah. And then
leader's dead.
Caesar, goes into a rage, of course, and goes after the colonel. We don't know at that point, I suppose, but, it's the colonel. But he loses him, and the humans get away. So now Caesar is like... First of all, he's obviously been, embittered by the war. It's been 5 years of constant warring. And now, all that he's really... I mean, he's fighting for all the apes, but he's really fighting for his family, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah. It's his wife, his blood.
So now he's lost everything except for little Cornelius.
Well, we don't know... At that moment...
Yeah, we don't know that. Yeah.
Cornelius is missing.
He shows up later, yeah. Turns out he was safe. So...
He shows up a few moments later.
So he says, he tells Lake, which is, they introduce her as a love interest to Blue Eyes, and then 2 minutes later, Blue Eyes is dead, and it's like, now you're a character. Like, oh, is she? Oh, okay. She's like, you'll have to lead them, basically.
Yeah, she replaces the wife and Blue Eyes, kind of.
If you love my son, you have...
Take care of my other one.
It's basically like, love, this family like you loved my son or whatever. Or the tribe, every ape, and lead them to the new place. But what about you? But I'm going for fucking revenge.
Yes.
So he lets he lets the darkness take over, and all he cares about now is avenging his family, which you kind of understand. In the moment, that's what you want to do. You want to fucking murder the people who robbed you of your love, your life, your family. Sure. So he just goes away.
I mean, he's also doing the same thing that the humans are doing. He wants to find and cut the head of the snake.
Yeah, sure.
Because if he's thinking, if I can stop this colonel dude, then maybe they'll stop.
He's mainly doing it for revenge, though. That's the whole thing.
Sure.
He's so angry. He doesn't want anyone to join him. I'm going to do this myself. But Maurice... Rocket and Luca, right? The new gorilla guy joins him, and they go on their little revenge quest. Until they
pick up Nova on the way.
Yeah, because they come on a human settlement. Everyone's dead there except for one guy, which they just promptly shoot because Caesar's giving no fucks anymore. Yeah, fuck it. But then, there's one little girl left who's obviously, there's something wrong with her because she can't speak. We don't know yet what's going on. And he's like, whatever, leave her. Once again, he does not care anymore. This is not the Caesar from Dawn. This is a different person. And Maurice is like, no, we can't do that. We have to, she'll die. We have to bring her along. And he's like, fine.
You take care of her then, I don't care.
They go on a long trek. They find a little... now we're just talking about the plot. That's the thing.
Well, they meet Bad Ape.
Yeah, that's the thing. The middle chapter of the third one is pretty bad. Because it's just them riding horses. Yeah, they come to the military compound where they find Winter, and he says, sorry, Mario, the princess is in another castle. Basically. He says, the colonel left. He's somewhere else now.
You know what it reminds me a lot of? It reminds me of The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, I don't know. I
of the whole trekking through the snow, getting to this awesome winter house that Bad Ape lives in, and then just coming to the compound trying to find the bad guys and they've left already. It just made me think of
Last of Us 2?
Maybe it's a part of Last of Us 1. I don't remember which Last of Us it is.
I only played the first 2 hours of that game. I hated it. Let's turn it off. I don't know.
I think I saw entire playthrough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what happens to that game. I didn't care for it, so I never played it. I don't know. Okay, but sure. Yeah. Ew.
But yeah, nothing really happens except for getting some explanation on how there are other apes that can speak.
Yeah, they find one ape who can talk. And he calls himself Bad Ape, because that's what they always called him in the zoo. He's from a zoo.
Yeah.
And he talks about how humans started acting weird and stopped talking. And we see them when they're like tailing the militaries. You see them leaving like bodies behind.
They're shooting at someone, and we don't know who, and then they leave 2 bodies behind.
And they're all bleeding from the nose, and the one guy who survived can't seem to speak. Something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
And then they meet Bad Ape. Yeah, brilliantly played by Steve Zahn. He's so good.
So that entire character is so... I mean, he's supposed to be like comic relief of some sort.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, but
he also...
He's not... I don't think he's played like, oh, silly monkey. Like,
no.
He is... It's funny, but it's also like you can fully understand why he's like scared of the things and why he keeps going, oh no. But it's also kind of funny, It's
it is funny.
A perfect balance between like serious and funny. Yeah, I love it. Once again, great writing.
Yes. The details with him are fantastic.
Yeah,
like him wearing moon boots, for Christ's sake. I love it.
And him knowing like, oh, he knows where there's a human zoo. Like, oh, prison, that's what they mean. So they go over there, because that's probably where the colonel is going to be, because there's a border and stuff. They've talked about borders.
Yeah.
And they come over there, and they realize it's not a human zoo anymore. It's a fucking monkey prison. And he realizes that, oh, shit. My entire tribe was captured like literally minutes after I left them. What have I done? I deserted my family. And that's when you realize...
Put them back in cages.
Yeah, and they're back we're fucking back at square one. No! And that's when you realize like, oh, so revenge bad. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's not pandering at all. It's not like, you see now? No, you actually get it yourself. It's obvious.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel pandering. It's...
No, because it's kind of like immediate, like, you have to spring into action here. You can't just wait, whatever. Let's just get on with it. Yeah, we're back at square one. Let's start over then.
It's so...
Chop, chop.
Yeah, it's so perfect. And I mean, we've had a couple of moments before that. Well, look, one moment maybe, where that's kind of foreshadowing it. Because Caesar, who's still feeling bad about what he did to Koba, is like dreaming of Koba, and Koba talking to him ape, don't kill ape, right? And it's like, oh my god. So he's like guilt-ridden, and I love that. And that's like part of why he is bitter, is because he didn't start this, but he definitely didn't help it by killing Koba, but it was the only way. It was the only way. He knew what was going to happen, but he had to do it. And he's still like racking his brain 5 years later about that. It's so good. So he goes down there, of course. Gets captured immediately. Luca dies. Which is, I know it's kind of like tugging at your heartstrings, because literally the scene before that, he shows affection towards the little girl, Nova. Which who isn't named Nova until the end, by the way, which is dumb. However, there are little hints of it before that. Not big enough, but it's Luca who alerts everyone when someone is stealing their horses, because he's actually looking down, you could argue he's checking on the horses, but I think he's checking on her, and there's a human down there. They might hurt her. I mean, that's always how I saw it, especially since he actually cares about her later. But yeah, then she cries over him, and
the flower.
It shouldn't hit me because it's cheap. But god damn it, but it works. She's so sad. I mean, it works because she's this is wrong.
She's young,
she's simpler. Yeah, she's young, and she also has the virus. Also, so
she's not expressing it through like, oh no, it's so scaled back and
it feels genuine.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't really have a great connection, it's genuine because...
We've talked about this in previous episodes quite recently. Like no dialogue is sometimes good, but sometimes just bad.
Yeah, here it's great.
In this movie, in all of these movies, the no dialogue thing really works, because we do have sign language that helps, obviously, and we have very scaled back dialogue. But the moments where you don't need words, I sometimes think when Caesar speaks in those moments, you're like, hey, shut up! Use sign language instead.
Thank you for saying that. Let's pause the plot telling for a while. That is, except for the middle part being a little boring, it's not really boring. Yeah. Whatever, it's not great.
It's a little bit slow for a 2-hour 20 movie.
Yeah, Caesar speaks way too much in this. They use that as a crutch. Like, we don't want to it's instead of doing the great sign language, all the succinct, very cutting to the core dialogue. We'll just let Caesar explain everything, which he does several times in the movie. It's just like, oh.
It's also because in Rise or in Dawn specifically, where we do have the apes using sign language, and then we have humans. In War, we don't really have the humans speaking for or explaining things. Yeah. So now we need some of the apes talking, and that's where Caesar and Bad Ape specifically come in and take that role. They take the role of the humans almost.
Yeah, and especially in the first half of the movie, whenever the apes are signing something, Caesar just no, we can't do this because of this and this and that, and this no, I have to go.
Yeah,
no, you're saying too much. No, go back.
You
to
should
Dawn.
Just go no instead or something.
Yeah. You use your words. Don't just shit out words everywhere.
Yeah.
That is my only other complaint about the
Bad
movie.
Ape because the way he says things aren't as clear to us, and he doesn't understand sign language. He's never responding to Maurice or Luca.
No.
Or Rocket.
Exactly. He's
only saying things. He's basically word vomiting because he's like, I'm meeting people. I can talk to someone.
Yes, so he is more succinct. And he uses lesser words. Yeah, so that's fewer words. I better say fewer words. Yeah.
Well, lesser words as well.
Yeah, I suppose. So yeah,
Bad Ape.
Bad Ape. Yeah, yeah.
He's so cute.
I love that. But yeah, he gets captured. He's
like the good version of Jar Jar Binks or something.
Oh my god, yeah, I guess.
I just kept thinking he's the cute sidekick thing. Like before we had Groot and Grogu and shit like that. He's the cute sidekick thing that they could have made plushies of.
Yeah. Nobody did though.
But luckily they didn't.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because
they weren't in. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there was of course some merchandise, but this was never we need to sell toys. No, it was about telling a story.
No.
That's actually good. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's that kind of character. He's the cute one.
Yes. But yeah. Then the movie now it changes gears and becomes a prison movie, and we're kind of back once again. A great trilogy should always go full circle and come back to come back to the beginning.
Yeah, we're back at the sanctuary.
Yeah,
basically.
Apes are now captured again. They've been fighting. It's been 15 years. Well,
they're used for workforce again.
Yeah, but now for in even worse conditions and for even more hideous purpose. And yeah, you have all the scenes with Caesar, the one where they start some ape drops something, so they start whipping him, and he's like, leave him, and then everyone's like, oh, they start, he's kind of starting it up again, but then it's put down with a gun. Of course, they put a gun to Caesar's head, and there's the one lady ape who picks up the rock and we have to keep working.
It's Lake.
And that is Lake. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because the earrings.
yes. And then it becomes, once again, but instead of the kind of, a little bit bland, a little bit, whatever, it's just a silly, not a silly move, but, the lighter tone of the first movie is completely gone. This is pitch black. They're whipping apes. They fucking crucify Caesar twice. He hallucinates about Koba again. He's like, oh no, my life is ruined. You see all the little baby apes in their own cage.
Oh yeah, baby Cornelius.
Oh,
just screaming after his father.
And Caesar, of course, feeling like I've betrayed everyone. But when he gets tossed into the cage, they're actually they believe in him. They do the ape strong together. Oh my god.
Yes.
Ooh, apes together strong. Sorry. And then, of course, Maurice and Bad Ape and Rocket show up, and they're like, we can just help them escape. And then it becomes an escape. Then it becomes an escape movie for a little while, and
it's a prison escape. Yeah,
yeah.
But behind and on top of all of that, we have the story of the Colonel and why the humans are doing what they're doing, basically.
Yes.
Which I'm still a little bit confused about, specifically when we get to the actual ending. Like, I understand the Colonel and his platoon or whatever doing what they're doing. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure what they're building the wall for.
Well, he explains it. Like, they realize a while back, at least the Colonel did, he realized that the virus mutated.
Well, yeah.
And everyone who's still alive have the virus in them. It's just that they're immune to it, like they say in the second movie. But when it mutates, some people aren't immune to it later. And instead of just killing them, it like makes them retarded, basically.
Yeah, it robs them of their voice.
Yeah, which is also a detail I didn't super like, because that's supposed to show why they're like animals in the original movie. It's like, no, that's a slow degradation over 1,000 years, 2,000 years.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like, oh, right now, 5 years after 10, 15 years after it happened, they start losing their voice. Like, it's too fast. But I also want to see, they kind of want to like tie it together, and they don't want the movie to take place over 2,000 years, so, okay.
Yeah. It is. I mean, they're also saying like not everyone is obviously doing this. This is just some humans, again, just to like make the human race smaller and have to like devolve instead of evolve.
Sure, but it takes away a little bit from the whole, reverse evolution in the original movie. That they actually devolved. It wasn't a virus. They devolved over hundreds and hundreds of years. Became more and more animal-like, while the apes grew more and more human-like, so to speak. So
So he is, but he's building this wall to like keep that out, I guess.
No, he realizes this, that, well, first of all, anyone who shows this symptoms has to be killed, otherwise they can spread this new mutated version of the virus.
Yeah.
That's why they kill anyone who, starts bleeding from their nose and gets stupid.
Or stop talking.
Yeah. This is not appreciated by, because they still have, I guess there's some semblance of government still. So the rest of the army does not approve of this. So they're like, we're coming to get you, Colonel. And he's like, no, I'm on a holy quest to save humanity. Like, he does. That's why he's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's the survival of the human race, he thinks. He's crazy. He's Colonel Kurtz. So that's why he's building the wall, because there's other soldiers coming, and they're coming to get him.
See, I never connected that.
That's why they start attacking, when all the helicopters come towards the end.
Sure. No, by then I'm like, okay, they're just attacking him because he's like diverted. He's his own thing. But I for some reason didn't connect that the wall was to protect from them.
Oh, okay.
I was like, why do you need a wall to protect? You have weapons. Like, you don't need a wall to protect against humans, right? But no,
it helps.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, that's
to hide
true.
behind something
that's
while
why
you're
we
shooting.
all build walls.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, I think though, this was probably written before that, but it came out at a perfect time. Because in 2017, the bad guy is building a wall.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But obviously this was in production before Trump became president. But it's
at least before he started building his own wall.
Yeah. Or it was a late addition when he started screaming off the wall. But we should have a wall in the movie.
It's like, shit, put it in. That's not a giant production piece. But sure.
Yeah. But
unfortunately he gets infected himself because he touches the doll that Nova carries around.
So once again, this small little thing, like if it just didn't, once again, it was basically then a human that infected him, because Nova gave Caesar a doll.
I mean, she even just like threw it on him to like wake him up because she can't speak.
Yeah. And once again, you have then Nova kind of representing the good side of humanity there, and
yes,
someone that Caesar kind of towards the end he cares for her, because why wouldn't you? Like, she's shown no signs of being a bad person.
Yeah, he's realizing that there are good humans out there, and she is.
Yeah, which is also part of him realizing like my quest for revenge might have been like the wrong thing to do. Like, obviously it put my family in danger. So he like decides that's why that's why the whole theme of revolution or freedom becomes very strong again.
Yeah, he needs to rescue them now. He doesn't care about the revenge as much.
But then we come to the end.
However,
where
he does go up there.
The humans start attacking very conveniently immediately after the apes have managed to escape. Yes, there's an ape escape in this movie.
Yeah.
They start attacking, and he's I have one thing left to do. And he goes up to the colonel's room, and he's like, I'm gonna kill him. And then he sees the colonel has been infected. He can't speak. He is more clear-headed though, because when Caesar puts the gun to his head, he's like, yes, please do it.
Shoot
me.
Yeah,
shoot me. I don't want to be this. Because he mentions that, like, this virus, it takes away your humanity, and he doesn't want that because he wants to be human.
Thing is, though, the way we see it, because we've seen Nova throughout the movie, and she is human, she just can't speak. So he's just seeing the worst of that infection.
Yes.
The colonel doesn't understand that there is probably a way of living with it.
I mean,
he just sees it like a plague, and he's like, I don't want to suffer. Let's just kill me.
But
instead.
also, if you look to what happens to humans later, we even saw it in the trailer for Kingdom. Like, humans obviously, like, they devolve. It's not just that you can't speak anymore. You become a dumber animal.
Yes,
and you're losing that, and that is the thing, which is also a double-edged sword. When it comes to humanity, you have that sense of identity, like I am, that I think, therefore I am. Which is of course what makes us, that's why we're like at the very top of the food chain. Like nothing can touch us on Earth, at least. Aliens, of course, but that's not this.
And I mean, we can ourselves.
Yeah, of course.
Kill ourselves.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But it's also that sense of identity that has, of course, created like religious dogma, hate, fear, war. All that comes from the fact that we are aware of our surroundings.
However, in the vacuum of before Kingdom, before the trailer of Kingdom, we don't know fully that is what it's going to lead to. Because we see it in Nova that it's fine, you can live with it.
Yeah, but this is where you have to think of it as part of the larger franchise. We know that or humans are going to become animal-like, and that's what they're alluding to.
The way they're alluding to it, yes, but the way they're portraying it in War is mainly him being scared.
Yeah, of course.
Not that it's actually going to happen. Because we see Nova living with it, and it's like, maybe it's fine, maybe it's not going to happen.
I would, though, argue that the virus is not the mutation is not a good thing. It's not like, it's something we can't live with. It is the destruction of human race.
Eventually, sure,
not eventually. It is. Like, it's, eventually, but it's inevitably, I would say, not eventually.
Inevitably, yeah.
So saying, like, we'll deal with it later, like, no, you have to deal with it now.
That's the wrong reaction, yeah. But unfortunately, no one of the other humans seem to have that. They are having that reaction instead. They're going, we'll deal with it later, because that's as for now, it seems to be okay. We're not losing that many humans to it. He's the only one, Woody Harrelson's character, he's the only one who's like, shit, this is the end.
Problem is then being he's dealing with it in the wrong way. How you should deal with it is to try and treat it, in a lab, not just shooting the people who are infected. That's what makes him the bad guy.
You can't get rid of it. You have to treat it.
I once again, talking about complexity and more interesting characters, even though he's still kind of like kind of a one-note guy, because he's just like, gotta kill apes, that's it. I fully understand him, though.
Sure.
And as he explains in another exposition dump, the first person he killed in order to stop the spreading of the virus was his own son. And that's when he were like, okay, I get it. I'm a fucking messiah sent out. I have a mission from God.
Yes.
God told me to slay my only son.
That's why I don't like that character. He's like, Jesus, I am Jesus reincarnate.
Yeah. So this is that's and he calls it his holy war because of that, because this is the survival of mankind.
His crusade.
Yeah, his crusade. So I understand him. I just don't agree with his methods.
Ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So I fully understand why he's like, shoot me in the end there.
Of course. I mean, it's a common human reaction as well when you can tell that this is not going to end well for me, and I want to be in control of my own life.
or just the fact that, oh shit, now I am part of the problem. Well, I guess I got to stick to my guns, haha, and shoot myself. But then Caesar holds the gun up to him, and he's like, in that moment, like, I finally get to like avenge my family. But then because of what happened over the last hour, you're like, no, it's not going to lead anywhere. Just go instead. Be with what's left of your family. So he does.
Yeah.
And then the colonel shoots himself because, why wouldn't?
Also, maybe he's like, you know what? I'm good. He's got his suffering.
Yeah, that too.
Now.
Like, there's no point to this
execute
anymore.
him for
there's no reason for me to kill him. He's not gonna he's gonna
he is obviously
pray for his
suffering.
life. I'm not gonna get anything out of this. Yeah, he's moved beyond revenge.
Yeah.
Once again, being the bigger man in the movie.
Yeah, going back to being the bigger man, I suppose. Sure. He did lose that one.
Yes, he definitely did. That's why this movie is so big.
And then we have the big fight when all the humans in white come rushing in and the snow, and then
yeah, there's the big explosion. Caesar gets shot by Preacher in the side. Yeah, and then you have the huge avalanche, which is brought on by the explosion, of course, which conveniently wipes out the last of the humans, basically, or at least that army. It's like, oh, okay, we don't have to worry about them. But of course, apes are smart, so they climb up instead of running back. Very symbolic. And then like, yay, we're free, and they start walking towards the new paradise, the new sanctuary, the new kingdom. And when they finally reach the destination, everyone's happy. There's a big lake and everything's beautiful. There's no snow anymore. Then Caesar can finally rest, and he dies.
Yes.
He succumbs to his injuries.
He literally goes, peace.
Yeah, which that is so. That's how you fucking wrap up a character. He's done.
Yes.
Like, sure,
he succeeded with his mission. He doesn't have to fight anymore. He can just relax. And succumb to
and of course, you could do the easy thing and just have him like, be happy with my family and my tribe. But that's too easy. You want it to be a little bittersweet in the end. Like, yay, we fucking did it.
Yeah,
we triumphed.
It's kind
without
of
waging war. Really. We're in a new place. We're safe.
No.
But Caesar is dead.
It's kind of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Where he died, technically, in the second movie, but he got a second chance to make sure, like, the story could finish.
You just said
well, I'm a Caesar in this case.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you said like Lord of the Rings. I was like, who are you talking about? Several people technically
Frodo
died.
also doing that? Yeah. All of them, I guess. Yeah. Like, they technically die, but they get a chance to, like, finish the story.
Yeah. And it's also after all this, like, it is, while it's a sad thing, it's also like he's at peace.
Yeah. He can finally rest. And he will rest properly.
And what a perfect ending then, like, almost like, well, then you can wrap up here because our main character is dead.
Yeah.
But we know, and it ends there. It's a great ending. Maurice, like, sitting by his body and like, oh no. And then they
and everyone just go,
and they pan up and you see the sun shining over everything. So it's very bittersweet, but it's beautiful in that way.
And it's
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect
in
ending.
That way. It's a perfect ending. And
you're like, I hope they don't make a fourth one. And for a long time they didn't. But I mean,
5 years later, here we are.
They were talking about a fourth one even before the third one was out, I think. Like, if this is a success, of course we're going to make another one. But she's like, no. And for what it is like, they're not gonna. They're going to leave it alone. We still have basically a perfect franchise, except for Beneath, which is so-and-so.
Sure. At least we have this perfect trilogy.
Exactly. And then they did that game, like in 2019 or something. There was a Planet of the Apes game. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. I never played it,
Me neither.
Though.
I didn't want anything to do with it. I was like, no. I gotta see what it was called, because that took place like sometime later, and I think you played Cornelius as a grown-up ape. I think.
Okay. So yeah, because the ape in Kingdom cannot be Cornelius then.
No.
Right?
They don't explain it in the trailer,
Oh,
but if you read a little blurb on IMDb, this takes place like
it's just
generations later. Maybe like...
It's as many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey.
So it's... Oh shit, it was actually released the same year, 2017. Called Planet of the Apes: Last Frontier. Taking place... Oh, okay. I didn't, because I never cared. I didn't want anything to do with this. I didn't even know this. It actually takes place between Dawn and War.
Oh, okay. Either way, we've been babbling on for about 2 hours now.
Well, we can't wrap it up yet. We've just been...
See, we kind of can, though.
wrap it up, but we're not done.
Yes. Because I want to save a little bit of the speculations.
Sure. But I just want to...
discussion of Kingdom... for maybe the Patreon episode.
But we can't just like, oh, now the movie's over. We have to talk a little bit about what we've been doing that as we're talking about what the movie was about. But
yes,
also talk about a little bit, what the movie's, the themes and everything. We mentioned that, but just how they wrap it up, and also, but then now we can perfectly talk about how they tie together. So I see it as they are a prequel trilogy. So I would say this is. This is the first, even though there's some retconning, this is the first prophecy that the apes talk about in the third movie. The whole, where apes were made to be workforce or slaves, and then there was one ape who rose up and said no. Because that literally happens in Rise. Even though they're not workforce, they're just apes. So they've changed it a little bit.
Well, they become workforce in war, so they're kind of like mushing it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's retconning a little bit, and it's also technically what they are talking about in the third movie is the no moment in the fourth movie, which is a fucking amazing movie, by the way. But it works, like I said, it works in a circular theme because you have that no moment where the revolution starts, apes take over, there is a war, and eventually, humans lose. Humans lost. That's what happened. They lost to the apes. Yeah. And that's why we end up in whatever it is, 3187 the year, I think it is, in the first movie when Taylor lands on
the original
Planet of the Apes. Yeah. And of course the world has been destroyed by nuclear war. Which once again, that's never mentioned in the new trilogy. But we do see the world has been destroyed by war during the pandemic, the simian flu pandemic. So once again, retconning it a little bit, but it's the building blocks are there.
Yeah, I mean, there's space for things to still happen after War of the Planet of the Apes that will lead to the original movie.
Yeah, but there's not going to be any nuclear war.
No, probably not.
So that's already been dealt with.
But this is all just America, though.
Yeah,
maybe the nuclear war comes from fucking Korea or something.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie is supposed to represent the world. Now you're getting into plots. We're talking story here. Big difference. I had a long discussion with that guy in the Exorcist 3 comments about this.
Oh yeah,
there's a huge difference between story and plot. And you're getting into plot details. Yes. We're talking story details.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes. So, humanity is wiped out, and what's left are, of course, the people, they degrade, they become animals. While apes, of course, as we see in Kingdom, now they can all speak. And the one the younger ape sounds like he might be struggling a little bit, but I mean, obviously they all speak more or less perfectly now. So then,
which is kind of
we still know. I hope they don't make like 3 new movies. I mean, if they're good, sure, but I'm so scared they're not gonna, like, what if they fuck up and make an awful one? Then it's ruined.
Yeah,
you had a perfect franchise. Just don't quit while you're ahead. Leave the poker table with some money left. Yeah. So yeah, that leads perfectly into, like we said, the end of War leads into the original movie more or less perfectly. And then Beneath comes where they, spoilers, that movie ends with Taylor blowing off a nuclear bomb, kind of destroying the ape kingdom, because it's beneath the kingdom, beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
But then the third one...
Yeah, that's when they run around in caves, right?
Yes. There's like an underground cult of mind-reading humans who like pray to the bomb and shit. They're survivors, you know.
Yeah. See, I've seen that one.
But then you're like, oh shit. Okay, I guess that's the end of this franchise. But then we're like, we're gonna make a third one. How? Some of the apes managed to salvage the spaceship from the first movie, and they traveled back in time. You're like, oh no, that's so bad. But honestly, the third one is fucking great, even though it has a lot of silly, apes shopping scene.
Yeah, that's when they're all running in suits.
Yes, they're all wearing suits. They're shopping. Zira joins like a women's lib movement thing. It's very funny. But the core of that movie is then, of course, that these are, once again, it's the fear of people who are different than us, because they show up. Yeah. People are first like, oh, apes who can talk. This is so weird. But then they explain like, we come from a different time. We come from the future where that's where they explain it all. Where evolution has reversed. And it all started with an ape who said no after humans enslaved apes. And people are like, oh, yes, so we don't want to repeat that mistake, of course. But then there are people who are like, but, then we have to make sure that never happens by killing these apes. And then in the future, we'll enslave all the other apes so they can't rise up. Like, no! And that's what the fourth movie is about. Yeah. They kill Cornelius and Zira in the end of the third one. Their baby survives, though, and is helped by, what's his name? Ricardo Montalban, who saves, he's like a circus owner who saves baby Caesar. That's where Caesar comes from. Yeah. He, however, grows up then and becomes a slave when he gets captured as an adult ape. And just like Caesar in this trilogy, then he sees like he's been treated pretty well, living as a human with Ricardo Montalban in the circus. But then when Montalban is killed, he is captured and treated as an animal again. And he sees how all the other apes are treated as animals and treated like slaves. So one day he says no. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here we go. That's the prophecy that Cornelius talked about in the third movie. Or was he talking about what happened in Rise? That's the thing. It works as a circle. And then you have, and that's Conquest, I think. Then the last one is Battle for the Planet of the Apes, where apes and humans are in war. Mm-hmm. But in the end of that movie, the humans, they find a way to coexist. So humans don't have to devolve because they're not treated as animals. They're not hunted by the apes. They start a new planet where apes and humans live side by side. That's what's so beautiful. How it all works out in the end after a couple of circles. And they close it out with a great last movie in Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
This is completely skipping the 2001.
Yes, because that's just a reboot. Miserably. It wasn't trying to be part of the franchise. It was just we'll make a new version of it. Yeah. Honestly, the movie's it's terrible. The only thing the movie has are the monkey suits. The ape suits are amazing looking.
Yeah, visually it's very cool. But everything else is
Tim
terrible.
Roth as the angry chimp general is so good. The monkey.
But I need to stop you here now, because we will discuss these movies more in detail.
Sure. Sorry.
You are just rushing through them.
I know. We'll go into more detail about it. But that's what I'm getting at. Like, honestly, what happens between War for the Planet of the Apes and the original movie, we don't really need to know what happens there. Like, the story is told. No.
But we will. Because they have released
and that's
Kingdom.
What I mean. It's not honest. Yeah, Rise, Dawn, War was not necessary. They had told the story as well, but we were lucky enough that they actually cared about making good movies. Now we're at that stage again. Hopefully, they make new good movie, and eventually I guess then a trilogy of 3 good movies. But what if they don't?
Only time will
What
tell.
if they fuck it up? It's like
that is it for today.
Like the end of Fanboys when they're sitting down to watch Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and they're like, oh shit.
Wait, what if it sucks? Yeah, at this moment, this is where we're at. This is why you should stop making movies. What if it sucks?
And with that,
we'll leave it at that cliffhanger. Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to this very long episode.
I told you should have stopped.
Yeah, I know. I thought we would stop at the 3rd movie. You kept going, and
we have to wrap.
Your heart
to
stop
wrap
when
it
you
up.
keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I figured we could have done that in the Patreon, but yes, no. Either way, thank you very much for listening
Thank you so much
to this.
for listening. If you want to listen to us,
check out the Patreon.
Talk more about apes and monkeys. Where we talk more in depth about the original movies. Check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene.
Or all the other stuff we'll do in the future. You can also recommend movies on Patreon because we kind of are in the need to have people tell us what to watch.
Make requests.
Now. We don't have a lot of plan for November and beginning of December.
Nope. I mean, we'll sure to find some Christmas movies to talk about in December.
Obviously.
Yeah, for November, we only have Napoleon left that I really want to talk about, so I don't know.
Yeah, we have a few, perhaps, but yeah, we'll see about that.
Anyway.
Either way, thank you so much.
See you in the next one. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's produced and directed by Tobias Vedén and hosted by Tobias and Rebecca Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. I also want to give a huge shout out to all our patrons over on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Daniel Geiso, Christopher Billén, Laura Kinney, Mom, Dad, and CK85.